Welcome back to the State Farm Analyst Desk. The reigning world champions Invictus Gaming are online for the quarterfinals as they are on match point versus Griffin. Again, I'll remind people that we thought this series was going to be a tight and contentious one. And as the games have played out, both teams have shown good looks to some degree, but IG now sit with a series score of 2-0, and they just need one more to tie it up in a neat little bow.
Yeah, they certainly do, but this game looked like it had everything Griffin wanted to be able to pick up a victory. They had a brilliant early game. The composition was there, and it just all fell apart.
I mean, you were talking about it, Spawn, at 15 minutes, 3,220 gold ahead. The craziest part about that is almost the entire gold lead was concentrated exactly where you wanted it.
Yeah.
It was a 4-0 Viper on the Xayah. He had everything you could possibly ask for to be able to take over the game.
If you have this much on your AD carry, the enemy team doesn't have any bit of, wave clear to really stop you. And the ease of execution is in your court. You have Jarvan Galio. What's stopping you?
That's essentially an eye edge up at 15 minutes. And not 2 minutes later, Spawn, we saw Griffin knocking on the inhibitor door of IG. But from there, it all fell apart.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one of those games where IG just got the game scrappy. They were talking about on the cast, the combined kills per minute started to elevate. They started to look for their plays in the setup, the easiest place to attack a team, and they were so resilient. Even if a member fell down, if they saw their window, they would go for it, and that forces errors out of the opponents.
It really does, but at times I think it was Griffin kind of panicking, right? And we've seen some of the BO5 troubles here for Griffin. They're the ones starting up this Baron, and it was a complete catastrophe. They have half their team going over the wall,
yes.
A couple people staying on the Baron, some people peeling off for the fight. They're going in 3 different directions, and when you kind of fall apart in that way against a team like IG, they will shred you in the team fight.
But that is why it is so important to always play a proactive style in League of Legends, because you are against a young lineup. They are going to be prone to making mistakes. This is an IG team that is world famous for how well they can team fight. They would be so confident going into these games that if they even get a sniff in one of them, they're going to be able to run over the top of the younger team. And that's what we saw happen.
And I think the key word is younger. Like that kind of misplay, the HP on Baron, nowhere near depleted. You're sending multiple members to stop the person who's coming in from a smite if it's at 2k HP, but they just dove in completely haphazardly. So for me, that's just them completely overthinking the situation, and it's sad to see.
And in that game too, again, you'll take a look at the Shy specifically for his play on the Kayle around that Baron and future fights to kind of bring it all together for IG. And again, in a very different look from game 1, where he had the dominant Yasuo laning phase into the Gnar, this time around taking his lickings to a degree in terms of the CS deficit, but still being able to find his way to affect the outcome.
Yeah, he had a massive effect in the late game. I think that we saw Sword actually laning quite well. Did everything that you could ask of him in the early game. But if you mess up on your execution, Kayle is the kind of champion that will always make you pale. It's very similar to Vladimir in that way, where it's that inevitability. If it gets a late game, it's going to slam you.
So, Raz, I'm going to jump in here just because I do want to reframe towards game 3 here. Again, Griffin, we've talked about their struggles in best of 5s, in, hype, high-intensity moments in their own region when it comes to playoffs. And here they are, staring down the barrel of a 3-0 against the reigning world champions. And so it all seems to be falling apart around them. But I'll return to the idea that first 15 minutes was phenomenal.
Yes.
So, you're the coach now for this team. What are you saying to these guys here in between games 2 and 3 to get them oriented, to run it back and this time execute on the close?
You have to focus on the goods, because these players, especially after a game like that, will only focus on that one big misplay on Baron. And if you're tunnel vision on that alone, then you're essentially already giving away the 3rd game. So you have to think about the first 15 minutes of the game, restructure about it, you're overthinking about it, look at how easy this comp can play out, and then leave them with a positive note.
I just really want them to give Chovy a Chovy champion. This is a guy that was famous for his Yasuo, his Akali, his Aurelia. He's playing Galio, he's playing Poppy. Just give him the skill matchup and see if he can win you a game.
All right, so Azael, game 3, Griffin is back over to red side. What's the recipe then in Champion Select, let's say, for Chovy to maybe have an effect on this game?
I think it's comfort. It's all about mentality. When I've seen Griffin in regular season versus best of 5, it's a completely different beast. When you look at the 2 best of 5s they played against SKT, you add in this one, they're sitting at 1-8 in best of fives this year, that is disgustingly bad when you compare to their high level of play in the regular season. So you need to give them comfort, because I think it's about a lack of confidence. I think it's about doubting their own play. And we know that when they play to their highest level, they can be an incredible team.
Final thoughts.
We just saw them in that team huddle, and I think that's always a positive note. We need to see them riled back up, back into this game. I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's tough call, but I think Griffin will get
It has not added up for Griffin
next
just
year.
yet in this tournament. Let's see if they can find the math, though, to make it happen. It's do or die for Griffin in Game 3. Let's see if they can keep it alive.
Thank you very much, Dash. And I want to bring up the fact that this was always going to be a very volatile matchup. This was a 55-45. You can look at the prediction graphic and say, everyone thought Griffin wins 3-1, but the question was really which Griffin shows up, which IG shows up, and today's IG is a hair better than today's Griffin.
And so far, they've shown their world championship form. The Shy and Rookie have been players that Griffin just hasn't been able to find a true answer for. So I loved what Spawn said on the desk there about trying to get Chovy in a place where he can actually just go 1v1 against Rookie.
And you wonder how far back they have to roll to find the sort of comfort they're talking about. What about Ornn for Sword, who very often was their initiator in their best periods as a team? Urgot, Sion, Ornn, those are champion picks you think for him. Back on the red side, they do have the benefit of red side. Last pick, and it was Qiyana first pick back in Game 1 when the series opened with IG on blue.
But of course, that game played out very differently than when this one probably will, with the Garen Yuumi coming through and everything else that followed suit. So IG, what is most important? It is still Qiyana. The question is, are Griffin doing X plus Yuumi, or are they taking the Xayah Rakan here? The Elise Yuumi was last time.
Man.
Is it a rollback of exactly Game 1? It's Rakan instead, okay.
Aha!
That's what I expected.
Yeah. If we would have seen another Poppy Garen Yuumi, then it would have been GG go next year. But they're trying something different.
I've cast that final already. It doesn't end well for Griffin, so I'm okay with there being a pivot here. I wonder if the Xayah will be contested on the IG side. Very often a first pick, and you accept if Rakan is dropped, but this time giving Lehens the reins, and it seems like IG happy enough to leave it through. Could just be the Nork Kaiser here if they want it, or potentially go down another avenue.
Okay, you know that Nautilus and Leona are the likely picks into Rakan. You know Rakan is support, not a flexible champion in that regard. Those days have long passed. But are they more worried about getting a jungler or something else? They're going to leave the Qiyana as flexible in jungle mid-top, and instead Morgana comes through instead, no longer playing the hard engage support, but someone a little bit safer.
Pretty conventional answer to Rakan in laning phase. NA pioneered the Kate Morgana a long time ago against Xayah Rakan. Xayah Rakan will be locked in here. You would have to imagine. We'll see how Griffin want to shape this draft. They have the first pick in the second round. Remember, they blind picked the Gnar, and the Yasuo kind of undid Gnar at basically every point. Even earlier than we forecast, the Yasuo was way ahead. So let's see how they sculpt the second round, because I feel like the first game didn't give them too many inroads back.
And there's a lot they can do flexibility-wise with these bans. I would actually hope to see a Kayle ban, since Griffin doesn't want to get out late-gamed again, in my opinion.
Kayle Vlad maybe is the big late-game powerhouse bans. You could see it, I guess.
Yeah.
Fiora instead. That makes me think that he's going towards something a bit
Beefy
tankier.
boy. I think a Beefy boy is incoming.
I know is one thing you brought up, Papa. 11 plays in the spring split, 0 in summer. That is a possibility. They want to say, you know what, Sword, you're on a hard tank. We're going to go straight up team fights and get a beef wall that can keep Viper alive. The problem with last game that I saw, that Viper just couldn't keep himself alive against everyone else diving him. A Sion or something like that could help.
And the only tonic to that is the threat from mid lane, right? It can't be all Viper, it feels like, for Griffin to win this series. Needs a backup. They're actually going to invest in a jungle ban here. So Vlad left open. We already mentioned the Kayle. Left open could be selected, I guess, by the side of Griffin. But the Olaf ban is some Ning comfort, and yet don't know if it was actually a contested pick.
Yeah, I can understand it because Invictus Gaming has gone with what looks like fairly comfortable picks thus far, and Griffin doesn't want to give him something to potentially run through the Olaf. If we see the Sion...
Bring it back, baby! Yeah.
What was that record on Sion?
10-1 career on the Sion. He's bringing it back. No games played in summer. Very good train conductor. He's able to use that unstoppable onslaught and initiate well. They're going to ultra old comfort. Have to feel like a carry for Chovy will round it out.
This could also be a Chovy Sion.
Please no. Please
it
no.
could be.
3 tanks, Jack. Don't do this to me. It could happen.
It could be.
It could be.
It could happen.
Well, Vladimir. Oh. All right, they have time. They're going to go for the lead, and they are going to move the Kiana back over to one of the lanes. Likely goes to Rookie in mid. Conspicuously, a lot of junglers were left up. The Gragas gone, the Elite is taken. With the Olaf and Lee Sin gets to be back in for comfort.
So what would the top lane champion be in this
Vlad.
draft?
It's got to be Vlad.
It makes the most sense, and it will be there. Klepto Vlad against Sion is what's being threatened, so maybe the flex you talked about is needed, and yet, then Chovy's on a mid lane tank. One more time. Is the final pick. It will be the Chaos. They will be playing Kale, but you have to feel like that's more likely to be a Chovy Kale based on reputation, and yet, right now, nominally, it's going to be a Sword Kale.
Well, we can see they can swap again at 20 seconds, and they'll play the mind games best they can. I can see merit to either side. I agree. I want to see Chovy be someone who gets to be the carry, gets to be a big deal. But matchup-wise, I mean, Infinite Armor Sion can just face tank the Kiana forever, and, you know, maybe that works out okay.
Jack, rub away that smile
I
you've got on
don't
your
think
face.
they're trading Papa Smithy. I think it's a Sion because they don't want to play a squishy champion into Kiana.
There it is.
Which is also why they did Poppy in the early games. Their Rookie is consistently playing Assassins, and Chovy saying, okay, I'm not going to let you kill me. It's worked in lane and failed in the game.
Well, we'll see what the engages look like here. 3 tank games here for Chovy. Galio, I guess half of one did go pro belt and some AP, but Sword, this is the most pressure on him. It's been steadily ramping up and increasing. It was the Gnar blind pick. Okay, you got counter pick. That's too bad. All right, early game Jace went well against the Kale. Now he is the Kale. He's got to somehow be one of the big late game carries here for Griffin.
His performance on Akali did impress us earlier in the tournament, but we just got the tutorial on Kale from the Shy in game number 2. Those are some pretty big shoes to try to fill.
Do want to bring up, I think the engage tools are much easier on the Griffin side. A Sion as well as a Rakan makes it a lot easier to get in. There are no hard tanks on the side of Invictus Gaming. Lee Sin can lead the way. A Morgana binding can do a little bit in a pinch, but that might be a bit more difficult here. This will be certainly a differently shaped game. And we'll see here in game 3, up against it all. A reverse sweep must happen for Griffin if they want to stay alive, or IG sweep their way into the semis, looking for their second straight world championship. Onto the Rift we go, and we'll see how they play this one out.
And even though Griffin made the tweak of throwing Kale in the top lane, this composition looks very similar to the style they have played in their first 2 defeats. They need to play heavily around and through Viper and Lahans. Chovy is going to try and neutralize Rookie in the mid lane, and they're going to have to play maybe even perfect League of Legends, because I'm looking at IG scaling and how well they can find flanks and how experienced they are and how good they've been playing this series. It feels to me like the odds are just stacked against Griffin in this one.
And the Sion mid-comps were pretty big, I think, in spring of last year. I remember Kingzone being really strong with BDD on the Sion, but those were prey pop-off games on Kog'Maw, really getting advantages at 1-2 items. The theory here is that Sion can initiate from the mid lane easier than the Galio. He'll rush in, and if Viper has the same start, theoretically it's easier for him to knock down the dominoes, but not as reliable, I feel like, Xayah, compared to someone who can outrange like Kog'Maw to back up the Sion dive.
Small point I want to bring up as we get in laning phases. The keystone choices of the 2 top laners, the Shy, worried about team fight power overall. Phase Rush good at chasing things down, but the Klepto for Sword trying to get items in the inventory as soon as possible. So that is one thing to track as they both scale up over time.
And I think between the Nogri and the Shy debate about Vladimir, the Shy almost always goes with the Phase Rush, since he's looking to get his gold basically by smashing the opponent, and then actually tries to teamfight much earlier, and that's when Phase Rush is going to be much more valuable than Kleptomancy. So not too surprised to see those keystones, even though it is good to point out.
Talon walks back, doesn't get rooted by the feathers. Gonna stay alive here under this one, and waiting for level 2 to come out. That's gonna be in 1 minion. There it is, and it's gonna be simply Balon walking over to Ward to make sure they can try to track Tarzan over there. But at least it's already done with that bottom side jungle, so this Ward will see, yes indeed, blue is gone, yes Gromp is gone. Okay, we know the vague pathing. She's probably top side now, unless she invaded the red buff, but I believe they have a ward to know that's not happening.
Yeah, Balan has the push that puts down the ward. Probably expected this to be a bot side game from the jungler, because ganking for Kale, 3-6, not very valuable, and even then, not all combinations will work. Combination of Scion and Elise will be a very powerful roaming tool once level 6 is hit. So you definitely want bot side river control as Chovy where possible. Speaking of Chovy, taking some trades.
Taking some trades. Sadly missed the cannon minion there, but still trying to push on in. And you can see the rookie has to play fairly back into this one. 4 CS on the map means it's going to be a very small CS lead. Nice Black Shield. Getting away from that one, no problem. Jacula feels safe.
Yep, that's how you want to play the matchup. Lahan's actually unable to even get his Aftershock off on this Aftershock Rakan. It's something he definitely favors, where most of them end up going Guardian. So if more Black Shields happen like that, IG is going to be able to win those trades.
And in this game especially, I would have assumed Guardian, because if you get hit by the Dark Binding, you're not proccing Aftershock, and you are very, very squishy as Lahens. And he doesn't need to be a Flash primary engager with a Scion on the team. So it seems to me I'm a little bit surprised, but probably just going to be comfort and muscle memory that will bring that and make that the choice.
Yeah, even given a Guardian Shield, your teammate who gets bound, pretty useful there as well. But again, as we're mentioning, not the play here. So we move on, and we have a fairly equal game in the super early. We can see a CS lead in top and mid here for Griffin, but the bottom lane still looking good for the Invictus Gaming side. That is the Morgana counter pick doing some work for you, of course. Makes it very hard to do anything as the Rakan. You get to just sort of ignore in a lot of cases. Now an attempted play. There's the root. There's a lot of damage. Both junglers coming out as well. Flash out from Chovy. Ignited. Not going to lay in the Q is Ning, and out they walk as the TP comes in for Sword and can't find anything with it.
Yeah, I think Tarzan's presence there was enough to get a flash out. So you can see Sword ends up wasting a little bit of time with that teleport in. Not as bad as you would think, though, since he had, I believe, channeled that teleport from base, was on a reset already.
Sidestep was very impressive from Chovy on to the Cocoon. Most likely would have gone down there. Obviously not that tanky in the early game. Free items is the Scion.
Another good Black Shield, another jump back for Lahens, and the trades keep going back and forth as just getting to the side. Jacula not rooted out by this. Still pushing the waves in. One CS goes with the W landing, and now no cooldowns available, but no mana available. Not going to find the engage either.
That's a spot for the Scion.
Chovy is doing the flanks.
Depending where the recall comes in, that Q can just land. Jacula could be hit right here, going to be slowed at the very least, but is there an engage? Channels the Q, Black Shield comes in, Cocoon's not going to land, of course, either. Forcing the flash to the battle line, but how can Jacula go anywhere? Has the flash, but no heal. Waves pushed in.
He can't.
Waves goodbye. The dances come in, the knockup is there. Make sure the kill goes over. That's going to be claimed. Tarzan says, I want the 400 gold.
Yeah, that was just an executed dive by Griffin, but now Sword has to survive.
The Shy pulls aggro, takes turret shot number 1, takes turret shot number 2. He's going to pool the third, and that's going to be enough damage as they drop aggro. Rookie has to flash, but they played it just right. Traded for the Ocean Drake, but I got to say, all in all, Griffin favored.
More objectives on the bot side make it easier for it to be Griffin favored. And if they can actually turn this into control wards in the river, you can unstoppable onslaught your way to repeat ganks if ever Baolan and Jacula walk past the middle point of the lane. Still, IG do capitalize on the best thing they can get, which is the counter kill top.
It actually means so much over there, of course, as well. You look at the fact that TP was already down. That's 2 waves denied to the turret, plus the plate taken. This is an actually huge lead in the top side for the Shy over Sword.
And let's watch this dive one more time. You can see Chovy just forces a lot of stuff. The Black Shield is out, the heal is out, and then they say, okay, Balan, that's the right call to just abandon. Otherwise, you're going to get the double kill in. Jackie actually does a decent job of not making it super easy for Viper to be able to get that kill, but it ends up going over to Tarzan.
I thought you were going to say decent job of emote canceling, and I was like, yeah, I agree. He looked pretty good there, very dapper. This is really nicely done by the Shy. Obviously, just pulls the last turret shot that's going to kill him. Easy to pick up the kill, but it does actually end up with the slow there, using Rookie's flash.
Ooh, and this is actually fascinating that Rookie has swapped out of that lane and gone top against Kale, potentially having a little bit more kill pressure, because I was expecting Griffin to just repeat dives on bottom lane over and over again, and they won't be able to do that if Chovy matches top lane. I don't think Griffin should be matching this.
I mean, this is what they went the matchups for. This is why Chovy took the champions. They want to play armor stack Scion into Rookie's Kiana. They don't want to give Vlad the free lane against this one, so it's about who can swap when fast enough. Tarzan looking at the top side as well. They're going to find some stuns, but traded back. Supreme display of talent, but they're going to find the slow. Not the stun, though. Could not find the knock. It means no Cocoon lands.
Rookie plays that really well, and still the unselfish decision freak to draw the roaming Scion top side does relieve pressure from the other lane, so they still get something from this, even though it is armor stacking against flat pen stacking.
I do have to question Griffin's choices there, though, because getting a kill on Chovy will not win them this game.
No.
Getting kills for Viper, breaking that bottom turret, advancing the game in that way will make it possible. So what IG has done here by pulling Chovy top and Tarzan with them is they've completely relieved the pressure on the bottom side where there's a flashless Morgana, a healless Kai'Sa, and unless Griffin finds a way to get back to that bot side pressure, I feel like IG is going to be very comfortable.
Exactly. Rookie will farm it out, and from there, Chovy will only be a Scion rather than someone who can act as that early game playmaker like his very deep behind enemy lines dive through.
Really fortunate situation here for Rookie, thankfully being on the blue team. Playing top side means you're still by your blue buff and gets to get that one handed over no problem. That could have been different in an alternate universe, but works out positively for him. 300 gold lead is Invictus Gaming's stake in this game. Griffin with the Ocean, though, should have some small bits going back toward them. Arguably a slightly better state for them overall, and we wait to see what comes through as, again, that Scion being on the far side, not necessarily optimal. Looks like swaps have come in. No, recalls come in, but he goes back to the same lane. And yeah, it's this interesting holding pattern where, again, I agree, IG like that Scion's far away, and Griffin like what their matchups are.
Right. And the Shy will continue scaling on this Vladimir. Rookie actually has a chance to make a flank play happen here if Sword pushes up too far.
Rookie roaming, gonna find at least the root. That's gonna force the ult out. Now, is there an extra dive? Not just yet. The flash didn't land the E. The Shy doesn't get the damage out. That slow was so important, but doesn't get it.
A millimeter short mechanical misplay from the Shy there means they don't pick up the kill. Sword didn't have summoners, so I see why they tried the play, but it doesn't bear any fruit.
This is where we'll get to see if IG can really pull back on some of that World Championship experience. I think the lane swap is part of that, going for it at this stage in the game, seeing the way Griffin's responding to it, and now I feel like kind of wrestling some control of the game back for themselves. Definitely want to be able to close out this 3-0 as the road to victory for Griffin has, I think, become fairly murky now with Psy on top.
Unless Viper can really take over, has decent farm, has that assist, I believe got some plate gold, so you know, you might hit your spikes first, and Viper can maybe be your team fighter at 15 minutes or so. They got the first break, next one spawning in 40 seconds. Another play up in this mid lane. Sword does not have the ultimate, not even close.
Wow.
Ning, actually a straight up solo kill. Laner's optional for Ning.
Was as the Kiana was coming mid, but Ning able to chase down the kick, and there's just a Vamp Scepter and no more items. No, onto Sword, so he just straight up dies.
Yeah, and you can see now Chovy getting out of this situation towards mid lane because a Sword's still attackable. Whether he's top lane or mid lane, this was going to be IG's game plan. It's about what does Griffin do after that. And yeah, he procs Conqueror. Sure, Rookie is there to watch, but completely unnecessary as Sword was at the time flashless and ultless.
And if they continue to march to the beat of IG's drum, they will never see a repeat gank on bot side before someone's up. They're back now. They're choosing their timings here, and they're bringing and bending Griffin's will to theirs. And unfortunately for Griffin, it means it's not about what they're strong at. It's IG more keeping themselves even or better in the game.
And now they're going to try something with Rift Herald. Sword is bottom lane. The Shy will have to see if he runs straight towards the Rift Herald, because we've seen the first game break to a 3,000 gold lead for IG off of the Rift Herald fight. If Griffin wants to actually funnel gold towards the Xayah, securing Rift Herald is so pivotal for that.
It's going to be a tense moment. A little bit of damage comes through. Balon farms some gold as Jackie Love and Viper score out from the top side, but this still feels a little Viper favored. The level lead certainly part of that one as they come back down to the river. Scuttle taken for them as well. Tarzan's here. Control ward's in the way to get rid of all the vision. And Jackie Love just farming under his turret, waiting to scale up and turn over the Muramana.
And have river control here, but only tentatively, and they will not be recreating their game one overforce, tanking the Rift Herald. Chovy has control of the river entrance here, so we'll spot Kiana if she chooses to come in. Let's see if Griffin can pick up this Rift Herald.
Valland was on a reset, so IG.
Ooh, almost. Ning walked through a ward, didn't know was there, but they couldn't find the CC. But still looking for the potential fight. Only 3, 4 for IG. 4 for Griffin. TP means all 5. Here comes the channeled Scion. Doesn't land that one there. Not much of a stun, as Chovy will be stunned, but is the fight good enough? Kai'Sa in the back line still knocked up, though. Kalo's over the top, and Griffin has spread their wings. They're going to knock down 3 already. The Shy, forced to run away, stays alive, but a giant bite taken out of IG.
How do you land a full channel Scion Q on 3 people as IG tried to collapse through? That's exactly the fight that Griffin needed to find to stay in this series.
And it took 2 of their unsung heroes. First, Lehens interrupting the Kai'Sa on her killer instinct into Chovy, stepping into brush, unwarded by IG, and getting that 4-man knockup. That means they will get the Rift Herald, and this time they don't play with their food around the Rift Herald and their health bars. They actually make the right turn and pick up the kills.
In a smart play, they need the instant summon if they want to cash in on the plates. Plates drop in 30 seconds, and there's the pop, and there we're going to get a lot of gold into Viper, just like last game. Right, kill in the mix. He's going to get some turret plates here as well. Lehens wants to share some of the gold, steals a couple plates away. He's going to share for his turret gold. Maybe didn't need to do that, but regardless, a lot of money on the table. Griffin up 2,500.
They saw the Kai'Sa and they were worried that they wouldn't actually get all the plates on that push, so I think that's the reason why he overstayed. I don't think it was the greed for the gold, but regardless, never great to not pick up the soul gold there. Ning will answer on the bot side with a Cloud Drake. Griffin needed a moment like that. It felt like their first kind of real counter punch through the course of this second and third game.
Well, the items are coming through. That's an Essence Reaper done. Berserker's Greaves done. Pretty solid state here for this Xayah. We're seeing the components come through across the map, and another good early game for Griffin.
And the big thing here is they actually avoided Rookie's damage. The ult found completely no one. So yes, Rookie lands the root, but most of his burst is completely gone. You noted the interrupt, you noted the kill ult. That was a 5-man Scion Q.
4+1.
Lord.
4+1. That was the real thing that turned the fight here. Really good job on Lehens to interrupt what felt like another assassination mission. Kai'Sa in game number 2, and 1,866 damage from Sion, second most of anyone in the fight.
Yeah, really impressive stuff. The KL ult was in a good spot as well. Kept the teammate alive, landed probably 4 with the explosion. So good early damage coming through. Beautiful stuff out of the Griffin side. The team that just could not win the important matches might do so here. They've got to win 3 straight if they want to move on. Looking very good in this first one they need.
Yeah, the big question for me is how is Sword's late game Kayle going to stack up to what we saw from the Shy in game 2? The thing that's up against him was Jace in game 2. That's not Vladimir. Vladimir is so much stronger. It's also not the Shy's Vladimir with how we've seen him pop off in some of these fights. So yes, I agree this is better than Griffin being down 2,000 gold for sure. But watching how they need to kind of use this tanky Scion to push IG further and further back and not let the Vladimir get to that late game combo initiation with Qiyana, since we've seen IG kind of just have experience throughout the mid and late game. Griffin needs to continue to play clean.
We've certainly seen Kaos this tournament that, you know, mid to late game provided a great Kayle ultimate, but weren't putting out anywhere near the standing damage that we saw from the Shy last game. Chovy trying to zone JackeyLove away from the turret here, so very standard play, but like you're saying, Jack, can't afford for Griffin to be a one-threat comp with utility of different types from their other members. They do need those secondary threats, and that should be Sword in game number 3.
Well, and it's so far so good as we wait and look at them push forward. Infernal Draken spawns in about 2.5 minutes. That's a likely fight in the works, and so far the item spec's going to look pretty good for Griffin on this one. They've got a front line, they've got a back line. We'll wait to see what comes through as JackeyLove is going to knock down some more minions, and that plate, that turret I should say, stays alive at about 1/5.
Resets happen here. Rookie picks up waves. When Chovy previously played the mid lane Scion, it was actually a more AD heavy build, like Tiamat into Titanic into Sterix. This is full tank, very much going to be strongest around kind of 1-2 item completions to really be a frontliner that no one can really deal with, while Manamune and other abilities are being charged up. Griffin have been trying to find a way to take this turret for a while now, but you can see actually difficult to close it up.
Yeah, and you can see that Chovy is able to get some jungle control just by being so healthy as the Scion. It's almost a waste of time for IG to send one person towards him. And I do feel like we are in that holding pattern until the Infernal Drake spawns. But
I don't know about that.
well,
Flash
okay.
is in, a lot of damage
Never
here.
mind.
Sword's going to be in danger. When's the ult come out? Pops it there. Rookie to find the stun, and now he's going to get kicked back in. The Q is going to land. The kill comes through. 3v1, and there is no counter push available yet to Griffin.
Yeah, if Griffin can't get the mid turret off of that, that would be disappointing, because if IG does send people bot, they're breaking the holding pattern and actually letting Griffin get that mid lane turret.
And is that going to be IG saying, look, the turret's going to go down the next wave, let's make a play elsewhere? Or is it an oversight? Because now, before Baron gets onto the Rift, they once again have mid lane turret down. If that can actually allow them to get the Baron that has really frustrated and thwarted them so far on their Baron and Rift Herald setups, it could be potentially a later high cost to pay. For now, at least, it's a kill.
Yeah.
Feel good as IG.
An equal trade in gold. They didn't actually push in for the bottom turret themselves, so that is a bit of map pressure in Griffin's favor with mid cracked. You can see Viper push down this wave. Jackie Level pick up the rest of it afterwards, and we will wait the 30 seconds that it requires for this Infernal Drake to spawn.
So let's think about how this fight would play out if IG was trying to contest it, because they'd want to get Rookie in position to flank, and you can clearly see on the mini-map, they're not interested in contesting this. I think IG is saying, okay, if we lose another early 5v5, that's how we actually lose the game. Let's instead trade because we are weaker. So it looks like you're going to trade outer turrets in both the top and the bot lane, and likely just concede the Dragon over, since Rookie doesn't even have teleport. They're very clearly saying that they can't do anything. And instead of taking the Infernal, Griffin's looking for a play bot.
And the Shy's going to try to build some space out of this one as he channels a bunch of the spells, knocks down most of the minions, will keep that turret alive. They can now go back to the Infernal. That should be reasonably safe. Again, as you mentioned, Rookie cannot join the fight. A 5v4 is a pretty free one. So different sides, outer turrets are traded back and forth. A bit of farm goes over to the IG side. A bit of farm goes over to the Griffin side. And now this bottom jungle is Griffin favorite as well. Can Ning find the Q? He's not going to quite get it. Jumps back to his teammate. Good smite out there for Tarzan. Over the blast plant, over towards the Infernal Drake. Still doesn't seem like that can be contested. So a fairly equal trade of sided objectives, but the neutral one goes towards Griffin as the Infernal is taken.
Yeah, the map reset advantage is what Rookie gets. He spots Chovy as he rotates back towards the mid lane. Baron spawning in 5 seconds. I'll get some control around it. Very early in the piece, like you mentioned, Jad. Is up. The Shy's caught.
Found out in 1v3. The stun keeps getting layered, and he's going to go down. A killing spree for Tarzan. Griffin definitely finding the picks here.
And this is really hopeful for Griffin. They've had gold leads in both games 1 and 2. It's been a question of whether or not they're able to hold out. And after game 2, everyone calls back to all of the best of 5s that Griffin has played pretty much in their history, and how they're not good in the best of 5s, and once they go 0-2, they kind of just tilt. So the fact that they haven't tilted in the first 20 minutes of this game does leave the hope. But the question still remains, can they close? IG has been pesky this series. They've stuck around in these games, and then they've waited for a Griffin mistake to pounce. That's going to kind of have to happen again for IG to win this series in this game.
Yeah, their wins are averaging at about 40 minutes in. If this goes the way of the previous 2, we've got 10, 15, 20 minutes still to play, and IG find the late game team fights. The Baron setups keep going to them. I think they're like 5-1 in Barons or something absurd so far in this series. They're doing a lot with this one as Jackie Love keeps knocking down the minions and waiting for the next thing to do as they just keep scaling on up. The Rage Blade is done, but double items here for Viper, right? I.e. Essence Reaver, he's very powerful.
But I think the game really starts to turn when finally IG get these outer turrets down, because the way they want to play fights is to flank from 2 directions on Kiana and Vladimir, and there just is no items to deal with that much flat pen. And on both sides, it's flat pen magic damage. It's also going to be lethality, double stacked onto the Kiana. Do you go for a more and then have to also perfectly time against Kiana's damage? There's really no correct way for Viper to build. Maybe a stopwatch needs to come out as next item. And as the map gets more wide with more different angles to attack from, that's where Griffin will find it really hard to set up for the simple to execute fights they want.
But that's going to be one of the challenges for Griffin as Rookie waits in the brush.
Oh, it's going to come across, but not find the stun. Kill it over the top. It's a flash away, but he's going to go down.
Can't do that if you're up against the Kale. Sword and Tarzan buddying up. Very important right there.
Also wasn't that close to the wall either, so I think in general, Rookie thought he was going to get a kill to once again buy some time. Maybe find a way for Vladimir to get finally that bot lane out of turret. It doesn't happen, and it's another delay thwarted by Griffin.
And that's a good word in thwarted, because Griffin needs to thwart IG from getting any outer turrets. If they do that, then they might be able to keep control of this game.
A little fear in the heart of Chovy there. Said, okay, I'm going to ult backwards. Don't want to get bound up. Don't want to get caught. They can keep playing the map right here. The game state, 3,000 gold lead for Griffin and better Drakes overall. Looking to push down, take over this top river. There are some wards over the wall, though. They can only clear so much of this vision until the sweepers come back from cooldown, and they're not up yet. There it is. Pop down a control ward, and they'll knock down these wards.
In the Australian dictionary, we coined, I think, 10 years ago, bounce back ability. And that's what I think IG will show here. They will keep trying the flank, because they have to. That's how the comp works. They're able to disregard the last couple of flanks versus the Shy being caught, then Rookie being caught. We will see that again and again. It just takes one jab. And if they get the right connection, specifically on that Hemo Plague, the cleanup is real.
Is that all one word?
Yeah, bounce back ability. You can look it up.
That's
It's
three
basically
words.
German.
Would Papa lie to you? No.
I don't know about that.
Hey.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right, well, we'll see if the bounce back ability is going to be there. Right now, it's Lehen's pushing forward, getting a bit of poke, getting rid of the wards. Griffin are strangling out the vision. It's going to take some pretty big plays from IG to take this river back. Right now, it's just dotted with a million wards. They're all red.
What is it actually getting, Griffin? They're spotting the enemy, but again, their agenda is, okay, we got the outer turrets, we want more. The more doesn't really seem on the May. They do have some level of mid-priority when it comes to this Infernal spawn, but IG also have a lot of dark areas to potentially flank from. So, yes, Griffin are handedly in control of the specific timing in the game, but it doesn't necessarily threaten the sort of objectives you need to deal a death knell to the side of IG.
And Griffin still do have a level 16 Kayle on the way, but it's 60 CS down, level 16 Kayle. And items do matter. Kayle's not what she was on release of the rework, where you just hit level 16 and suddenly you're powerful. You do need the items and the ability to capitalize it on the way that the Shy did in game 2. But from the looks of it, to answer your question, Papa Smithy, it looks like Griffin is just trying to keep their outer turrets as healthy as possible and focusing on the second Infernal rather than going for a pre-25-minute Baron.
Well, second Infernal started. Not a ton of ward control. You can see there's actually one trinket ward in the pit. The control ward that's aggressively in the jungle that's taken down as well. And Griffin say, okay, discretion, the better part of Valor. They'll back off. Shy, happy to front line, has to respect some of the engaged tools, but likely doesn't get bursted down without the entire squad being there. One more auto would kill it. The flash over, they're going to go for the play, but the Black Shield is already there. That's going to be big damage. Is it enough, though? Sword self-folds. Shy over the wall. That's a 1 for 0 so far, and it's a 2 for 0. The kickback now on a Chovy, but that is the tank. He can walk away safely. Kiadal doesn't do a whole lot, and no one is going down. The recall is going to be safe. Griffin get the 2 for 0.
One of the most ridiculous 2 for 0s I think I've seen, where the whole team gets hit by all of Vladimir's spells because they can't hard engage on him, but still they win both of them. And now they've reset, and they're on the way for the Infernal.
Tarzan's going to feel safe. Chovy is pretty much invincible. 2,000 health on him. Can't find the knockup, but that means the team can come back down. 14 seconds still on the Shy. Has teleport, but this Drake will die before he ever shows up. Ning has smite, Ning has flash. He can save the go for the steal, and oh, it's not going to be stolen. Good job, Viper gets the damage across. No smite, I think from either side, actually, just the auto attacks come through.
Looks like a couple crits just hit the Infernal Drake right at the last second, so neither of them could get it. And now that both Infernals are off the board, the next step for Griffin will be around the Baron. They got the flash out of the Shy, and potentially that's who they're actually trying to pick at the start of these fights.
No stopwatch on the Shy either, so he will have to find an entry into a fight that wasn't as strained as the first one. If you notice here, he's the one that gets picked on to flash all in from Lehen's. And yes, it's a wonderful connection, but between Chovy controlling one entrance, Jackie Love never gets to do any damage, and it's a really split fight on the side of IG.
And you could see Chovy was at the point there where he's kind of just a little unkillable until we get maybe yet another item onto Jackie Love. So he kind of single-handedly stopped Jackie and Rookie from entering that fight, even if the rest of Griffin took a long time to kill the Shy. And the bigger thing, I think,